Welcome to The Method, real talk for real people, and this is your announcer, always me, Dee Marie, coming straight at you from St. Andrew United Methodist Church, Little Rock. We got Katy Perry and Juicy J getting the party started, and if you're excited about being here, let me hear you make some noise. This episode of The Method is brought to you by Better Community Development Incorporated, The Tax Experts, Denman Hamilton and Associates, and St. Andrew United Methodist Church. So get on your feet and show some love and make some noise for the original fly girl of talk radio, KVNO.
Welcome to The Method. How are you feeling out there? All right. Well, as our announcer said, I am your host, KB Knox. I am so excited to be here today, and this is actually going to be a great show because we're going to talk about something that everybody likes to talk about. Money. You like money, right? Now, that didn't sound too convincing. Everybody likes money, right? Okay, there we go. We have one of our very good friends and partners in the community, Darren Hamilton of Denman Hamilton and Associates, with us here today. So go ahead and give him a hand as he comes up to the stage. All right, a little bit about Darren before he begins to talk and take fully his seat at the stage. Darren is a graduate of Little Rock Parkview High School, and after graduation, he went to the University of Memphis, where he got a finance degree. He started his corporate career in 2001 at Alltel Incorporated, and later became senior finance manager at AT&T. He has 15 years of finance experience, and Darren is releasing his first book later on this year on financial empowerment. Now, he is a partner in Denman Hamilton and Associates CPA PLLC, and he's the founding member of My CPA LLC. Now, he's been very busy with his lovely bride Felicia of 17 years, and he lives in Little Rock with his children Kenneth and also Faith. Let's go ahead and get down to the nitty-gritty, but give him one more hand as he gives you all the wisdom he has today on financial empowerment. All right, Darren, how are you doing this afternoon?
Doing awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Good. Now, I want to kind of find out some things about you first.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure the audience doesn't even know enough about you. So what made you say, I want to go into finance? I want to show people that finance is the way to go. Everybody needs it. You need it to live every day. You need, of course, a budget. You can have things for your household. Why finance?
I think that the key for, really not just for me, but for everyone, is understanding, one, what your purpose is, knowing who you are, kind of understanding what you were designed to do. And a lot of that came through, for me, it came through with a lot of soul searching, prayer, meditation, trying to understand what my plan was. So once I understood what my plan was, then it was just a matter of execution, going through the motions of doing what it took. So my passion has always been with helping people. Okay. So it was just a matter of, and you can always see that one component that doesn't always get enough focus sometimes.
Okay.
Because you got a lot of people that have a lot, but then there are a lot of people that don't have simply because of a lack of knowledge. So our goal is to bridge that gap, allow people to get knowledge to where they can make informed decisions.
Okay. Why do you think that that is a subject that's not really focused on? A lot of times you learn things while growing up, but some people don't have, like we had, of course, Big Mama or anyone to really show them about finances and how to live later on in life and to take care of things. Because even myself, when I got in college, the first thing I got was a credit card. That was even before I bought my books for school.
Yes.
So I was more interested in that. So why do you think that's not taught as a basic principle like your ABCs?
And that's a great point. I think one of the things that we as a community have to do a little bit better job of than what we have in the past is to hit on what you just said. We have to put a focus on that, a focus on entrepreneurship. There's nothing wrong with working for a company for 30 years going to retirement. But I also think it's important that you give options out there, because you have a lot of talented young men and women that are very good with their hands. Could be a phenomenal artist, could be a phenomenal plumber, could be a phenomenal electrician. If you take entrepreneurship and your passion, it's going to give you that opportunity to open up some doors that you normally might not get to. And that's one of the things we as a community, we just have to teach our young kids.
Okay, all right. But before we get down to your method on how we can all be financially empowered, we have to, of course, give a big thank you to our sponsors. And so we're going to talk more about the method coming up in just a moment after a small segment, of course, of empowerment segments from our sponsors. So you tell me, do you like the method?
Like the method? Then follow us all the time. Like the method on Facebook, hit us up on Instagram, or follow us on Twitter at The Method Podcast. It's easy. By doing this, you are empowered to ask our empowerment guests questions, give us immediate feedback on the show, gain access to empowerment information, see listings of the music used for the show, and post pictures and shout-outs. We look forward to your posts and tweets. Thanks for supporting The Method. Real talk for real people. This 30-second empowerment moment was brought to you by New Horizons Foundation Incorporated. I was hanging out with my friends at the Arkansas Conference Hunger Task Force, and they gave me some good advice on what we can do to eradicate hunger in our local communities. The first thing we can do is inform families in our local areas of ways we can prepare nutritious, inexpensive foods, or we can be SNAP outreach volunteers and help those who qualify have the resources that they need. And lastly, we need to get our churches and community organizations involved in a feeding program for children. Kids who are hungry don't learn, and we need to give all of our kids an equal chance for success. This is your announcer, always me, Dee Marie, for New Horizons Foundation, and we are so glad that Better Community Development Incorporated is rebuilding lives and restoring communities.
All right, we are back with the second podcast of The Method. For those of you that are just now joining us, I'm your host for today, KV Knox, and we are sitting next to, well, at least I'm sitting next to, the man with the plan. He definitely has the method today. That is Mr. Darren Hamilton of Denman, Hamilton and Associates. And we're talking about everybody's favorite subject today, which is money. We want to know how we can get more of it and probably do better by it. And I know Darren can tell us exactly that. Now, Darren, I've been doing some reading because I myself have not been the best when it comes to budgeting. That's that word. It's almost, you don't want to say it out loud, but I don't budget well. But I was reading in U.S. News Money and Finance section that when you're dealing with personal budgeting and saving, you need to keep it simple, have a time period, and have an emergency fund. Now that's something that I have an issue with, and I'm sure I'm not the only one because there are quite a few women in the audience. And when you are, mothers and have so many other things going on, you're the caretakers of the families and the elders, sometimes you have to tap into that emergency fund to handle some other things. So can you give us some helpful tips on what we can do and how to better budget and keep it simple?
Yes, we can do it. Okay, there's a couple things that I think is very, very important. First thing is understand, and see these concepts are simple. It takes two things for them to work. One, you got to know the concept. That's the first thing. You got to know the concept. And so my goal today is to give you a couple of concepts that you can use. Two, and this is more important than knowing the concept, you have to be willing to execute the concept. So when I say execute the concept, that means you got to be diligent. Now, here's the thing. We, as individuals, there's two things that I do off the top before I get a dime. I'll tell you, and this works for me. Now, I can't say it will work for everybody, but if you take some of these concepts, it will work to where you can get empowered. And at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want financial empowerment to be able to do things, have money, have resources, take care of our families. Now, first thing I do off the top, every time, it could be a stick of gum, a piece of peppermint, $5, $2,000, $75 million. This is what I'm going to do off the top. I'll cut 10% off of it, and I'll give it to God. The next thing I do, God is most important. But Darren is important too.
Okay.
So the next thing I do is I cut 10% at a minimum, and I give it to me.
No.
So that leaves me 80% of whatever I have to deal with.
So you're paying yourself like it's a job, right?
Mm-hmm.
So paying God and then paying yourself. Does anybody ever pay themselves? Do you ever think about that out there, audience, when you're looking at your finances or your budget for the month? Do you ever think to put enough back for yourself? Okay. I hear always. I see some no's. I've never done that, though. I've never done that. So you're paying yourself. Okay, keep going. We're listening.
Now, here's the thing. So if you take my $100, we'll use a $100 example. If you take $100, I've already set aside $20. So that leaves me only $80 to deal with. So what does that mean? The key to my whole strategy is this. I have to be willing to delay some things now in order to achieve them in the future. So what that means is I'll take my 10%, give it to God. I'll take my 10%, give it to Darren. And then from there, I make good choices with what I'm going to do with that $80. And see, this is where the problem is. People will pay God, people will pay themselves, but here's the problem. Once that $80 is gone, the natural instinct is to do like what you said. Well, I got to go pull some of that money back because I got to take care of it. But if you budgeted and made good strategic choices before you even get any resources, that's going to position you to where you're going to be able to live in that place, what I call the overflow. So what I do is I know that in 5 to 10 years, there's certain goals that I have. So I will live, has anybody heard this term called living below your means?
I heard above. Not below, but above.
A lot of people have heard living above your means, right? Mm-hmm. Here's this thing called living below your means. Living below your means is like being willing to live in a place where it's not giving you any stress financially. That doesn't mean I'm saying go down and just live in the slums. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is understand this. Take 20% off of whatever you have, base your budget on that, and that will set your foundation. So then what happens from that is your 10% that you're paying yourself is growing. That 10% that you're giving to God is growing. And you know how that 10% you give to God grows? The way I see it is called favor. It's called opportunity. It's called relationship. If I could tell you a story on how I met my partner, the guy that I'm in business with right now, you would say, that's nothing but God. And I truly believe that it was me being diligent with my 10% all along. And he said, okay, young man, you've been diligent over this, so I'm going to open up this door for you. And I think that that's how we get to that place.
Okay, now you mentioned goal setting.
Yes.
And setting goals.
Yes.
So how do we set good goals? And I mean even beyond, oh, my family wants to take this trip here. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, I really want that, Michael Kors purse, and I'm going to put some aside for that.
Mm-hmm. That's
How
right.
do you make, as you said, strategic and good goals in order for you to not do those temporary things or those temporary thoughts? Mm-hmm. Because oftentimes we have a lot of temptation and we see things that we want all the time. So what would be some other tips? Because you're saying be diligent, be focused and stay focused. But a lot of times we're only human and we do get off focus a lot of times. Mm-hmm. So how can we stay in control of our thoughts and stay in control of our goals at the same time for not the temporary goals but long-term goals?
Good question. Because I think the important thing is to be able to have what's called a balance. You hear about balanced meals, because typically, even in dieting, you have some of these extreme diets where you can just lose pounds like instantly. But a lot of times, they come right back because your body got shocked. I think the thing that will work is this. If you have a balanced approach, an approach where you say to yourself, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to make a change in my personal spending. So you make the change in your personal spending, and then I'm not saying let's cut all cable. I'm not saying let's sell the car. I'm not saying let's don't go to the grocery store. I'm saying you throw all of that stuff up on a whiteboard. You rank what's important to you. Now, if clothing is extremely important to you, hey, put clothing up there number one. If food is not as important, put food at 3, 4, or 5. But the key is you can't have 10 number ones. At some point, you're going to have to specifically, one, set goals on things that are important to you. Like for me, the thing that's important to me right now is I want to make sure that my kids have a good home to live in. So that is what I say important to me. So the second thing that I want is I want to make sure that all of their needs are provided for. And so I go on, and then I get to transportation, and then you get to clothing, and then you get to extracurricular activities. So basically what I've done is I've ranked the things that are important. And then once I rank those things, I look at, well, you kind of got a feel for how much money you got coming in. So I look at those things, and then I start assigning the money based on how much I make. So here's the thing that's interesting, though. If the money runs out, what do?
That's where that emergency fund comes in.
No, we don't want to use the emergency fund, though. So when the money runs out, because that's what happens. When the money runs out, people go straight to the emergency fund. And that's what we don't need to do.
So are you saying we're going back into what we've already put aside then already for ourselves? Or it's the fact that it's already been budgeted, so you shouldn't have to go and pull from anywhere else?
There you go. That's what I'm saying.
Somebody's thinking it. That's why I said it that way. I know somebody's thinking
That's exactly what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you take care of it in your budget, then, now, you know, things happen. You know, hot water heater may go out, or, you know, something may happen with the roof. And that's okay because you can, and that's a reason why you pool. My philosophy is I want to have 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up at any time. So basically what that means is if I just stop working today, I'm not going to be just struggling, at least for 3 months. So the key is putting a focus on what's important to you, looking at your money, not the next person's money, not what you want to have, but actually taking a snapshot of where you are. And then once you do that, align those up with your financial goals. And then whatever's extra, see, this is the problem. You'll want to take cell phone, cable, clothing. And so you got to live somewhere, and then you got to eat, you got entertainment, you got movies, you got date night, and then before you know it, all the money's gone. But at some point, you have to be willing to say no. You have to be willing to set boundaries. And see, here's the thing, you set those boundaries for a little while. You set those boundaries for a little while, and then after a while, they don't even seem like boundaries anymore. It becomes a way of life.
Well, that's the first segment. We're going to get into some more talk about, of course, finances, because I'm pretty sure that some of our audience members have some questions for you. But we're going to take another break to get another message from our sponsors, and we'll be right back right here at the second episode of The Method. It's Real Talk for Real People.
This 30-second empowerment moment was brought to you by the tax experts, Denman, Hamilton and Associates. When it comes to making good financial decisions, it's good to get started on financial empowerment as soon as possible. Start with the budget and stick to it. Live below your means and buy things on sale because it can save you a lot of money. And most importantly, invest your money. Let your money work for you. Make an appointment with the tax experts. This is your announcer, always me, Dee Marie, for the tax experts, Denman, Hamilton and Associates, and we're so glad that Better Community Development Incorporated is rebuilding lives and restoring communities. Don't forget to like Denman, Hamilton and Associates on Facebook and follow them on Twitter for more tips on financial empowerment.
All right, we're back again with the method, Real Talk for Real People. It is the second episode, and we're talking about money, financial empowerment today, and how we can all do better with our budgeting and also our finances. We have one of our partners here. Of course, we have Darren Hamilton with Denman Hamilton and Associates, and he has been so nice to give us his wisdom today about financial empowerment. We're at the segment now where we'll take questions from the audience. I saw quite a few people out there taking notes and jotting some things down. So we'll go to our audience. And audience, if you have a question, please come up here, of course, to the mic. That way everyone can hear your question. And then Mr. Darren, of course, can answer your question as well.
I'm just curious to know if the 10% that you tithe and then the 10% to yourself, how much do you save?
That's a great question. What I'll do is typically the 10% that I save, that is going to be for my extra, meaning those are going to be for my investments.
You're going to spend that on you.
Well, yes, in a way.
Okay.
Because see, here's one of my philosophies that I'm big on. I'm not only big on Darren, me right now, I'm also really big on legacy. I'm big on family. So what I'll do is that 10% that I'm setting aside, I will set it aside and I'll get it in something that's an investment for me so that my kids can have something, or so that when I get older, I'll have some extra so when I get to retirement, so that I won't have to work.
You put that in a 401k, or do you like CDs or IRAs?
Excellent question. Excellent question. Now, you can get a lot of different answers on this one. I'll tell you what I do, but what you said is a great resource for doing that. I'm leveraging most of my resources in two places. One, real estate. I'm really big into real estate, whether it be buying and selling homes and selling them, fairly quickly, or whether it be buying, holding, and renting out and collecting the cash flow. The other thing I'm big on is what's called life insurance and annuities. And so the reason why I like both of those investments, the risk on them is a little bit lower than putting your money in the stock market.
That's exactly what my parents told me.
Excellent question. And to be honest, there's so many different avenues, but the key thing is if you have that 10% set aside, you got options. And a man with options can be a dangerous thing, or a woman with options can be a dangerous thing.
That's right. Thank you.
Hello. You mentioned a plan. Okay, for example, if my husband plans for a boat and I plan for a house, how do you suggest we plan together?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
That's an awesome question. That's an awesome question. The first thing I say about that is get in agreement. It gets back to the, because we only have so many dollars. So you have to get in agreement between the two of you guys and prioritize which one is first. For example, I'm just using this example. There's nothing to it but an example. Say, for example, the boat costs $15,000, and then the down payment on the home is $15,000. At some point, you guys are going to have to come together, and one or two things are going to happen. Actually, three things will happen. One, you're going to either say, okay, let's get the home first, then we'll save for the boat. Or you're going to say the opposite. Or you may say, let's split and save 50-50 for each. The key is being in agreement so that you can establish the plan. And then once you establish the plan, you got to execute it.
Thank you.
Sense? Yes, ma'am. It's a great question.
My question is, when is a good time to start planning? Like if I just recently got out of college or high school, when is the best time to start
Right
planning?
now, for you. I think, and I'll use myself as an example. I'm quite a bit older than you. So the thing that the earlier you start incorporating a savings plan for you, the earlier you can get to financial independence. Because do you guys know what financial independence is? Financial independence is when you're at a place when If you go to work, that's fine, but it's not mandatory that you go to work and everything still functions. See, Bill Gates can go to work if he wants to, or he may not. But the thing about Bill Gates was he was young and he got active. If at your age, if I was saving 10% of everything I earned, you would be at a place of financial independence to where you have options to make decisions. You can buy a business, you can buy investments, you can buy homes. So I think the earlier you do it, the better off you'll be. And the last thing is, I'm real big in cash value life insurance policies. I have a acquaintance of mine. How old are you? 20? Oh, excuse me. That's right. I forgot. Never asked a lady that type of stuff. I have a friend though that is 25. He actually started investing in himself. At age 45, which is close to where I am, he will be able to walk away from work. And the difference is he's starting to plan early. See, that's the thing. If we can get to that point of, I got to gratify myself today, if we can put off that in just a few areas, I think at the end of the day, we're going to be in a lot better place. So I would say the sooner the better. And the main thing is stick to it. Because in 10 years, man, you see how that money built up, and you can say, oh, I got options now. I can go buy a business. I can start my own business. I mean, you have true options at that point. And that's when you're getting to financial independence.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. If you have trouble developing a plan, you can give me a call and I'll help you.
Well, are there any last thoughts that you would like to leave with us on some things that we can use and to stay focused and going forward on that plan that we need to be financially empowered?
Yeah, I think the main thing is, and I don't want you to think that I don't believe in having fun in the here and now, but I truly think that if you will develop a plan, not only develop the plan, but be committed to executing that plan, in 3 to 5 years, when you look back over your life on what you've done, you'll be able to say, wow, because I've seen it. I see it in myself. I see it in friends of mine. And I think the key is being persistent at the decision-making process. That's where it all happens, at the decision-making process. Get the plan, and if you don't do anything with it, it's not worth a darn. But it's at that decision-making process is where the whole thing matters the most.
Thank you, of course, Mr. Darren Hamilton,
Thank you
for taking the time to come out and talk to us today. Now, are you all going to go out and make yourself a plan? Oh, a little hesitant. We'll be calling you.
Much as I talk about it.
Thanks for tuning in to The Method for Financial Empowerment, and thank you, Mr. Hamilton, for making it as easy as ABC. This podcast was brought to you by Better Community Development Incorporated, rebuilding lives, restoring communities. The Tax Experts, Denman Hamilton and Associates. Hire the tax experts to lower your taxes and give you the ABCs to starting your own business. And St. Andrew United Methodist Church, Little Rock, where we're people helping people. Thanks for your support, and don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at The Method 3. Executive producer and host for this episode, Kristen Beasy Knox. Produced by William Robinson Jr. and Deborah Bell. Director of Communications for Better Community Development Incorporated, Sungay Nelson. Technical Director, Brennan Booz. Technical support provided by St. Andrew United Methodist Church. This podcast was created and written by Dina Hamilton. In the words of Mahatma Gandhi, we must be the change we wish to see in the world. This is your announcer, always me, Dee Marie, thanking you for your support and being down with The Method. Be blessed and be empowered. The Method, Real Talk for Real People, is an Opportunity Knox production.
Like The Method? Then follow us all the time. Like The Method on Facebook, hit us up on Instagram, or follow us on Twitter at The Method Podcast. It's easy. By doing this, you are empowered to ask our empowerment guest questions, give us immediate feedback on the show, gain access to empowerment information, see listings of the music used for the show, and post pictures and shout-outs. We look forward to your posts and tweets. Thanks for supporting The Method. Real talk for real people.